I'm Jacqueline here. I'm gonna introduce to you my team member here. This is Tiong, this is Jamie, CT, and Tony. So today we're gonna talk about the US-China trade war and how it impacts Huawei technology. So watch it.
Enjoy the show.
Well, who is Huawei? Huawei was founded in 1987 by the CEO Ren Zhengfei and started as a manufacturing telephone switches. In the beginning, Huawei did not have its own technology but imported the telephone switch manufacturing technology from abroad. In 1996, Huawei started to develop its own telecommunication system with the support from China government and continued to establish its telecommunication technology until today. Huawei mission is to provide the digitalization to everyone for a fully connected and intelligent world. To fulfill the vision, Huawei has started its mission to cover all areas including personal, business, and industry. Huawei aims to provide connectivity to give every person an equal connection accessibilities. Besides that, Huawei had promised to build the pervasive intelligence and digital platform to drive the business forward and help all industry and organizations to become more efficient. Nowadays, Huawei is well known as a smartphone manufacturer. Huawei has also involved in other business like telecommunication, network business, equipment supply, and provide consulting service for enterprise. Apart from that, Huawei is currently investing heavily in the development of 5G network systems in terms of capital and manpower. Moreover, Huawei also invests in other companies to strengthen itself. For example, Huawei put the largest investment in Excelsius LLC, which is a Russian developer and provider of Java compliant and software tools to work on the 5G network development.
Hi, very good evening to everyone. Today I'm going to cover SWOT for my team. First, let's talk about strengths. For strengths of Huawei, we feel that the first strength is they have large product portfolios. It consists not only consumable products such as handphones. Besides consumer products, Huawei also have telecommunications which cover the enterprise like routers, all the telecommunication base stations. The second strength of Huawei is it has a competitive pricing for its products. How good it is cheap. The third strength of Huawei that we feel of, it has strong technological innovations. Although the pricing is very competitive, their product is very innovative. They managed to come up with 5G protocols and its products. So for Huawei, it ranked number 4 in terms of their R&D spendings in 2018, which is ahead of Intel, Apple, and all these are big organizations. Huawei has spent in total close to 15 billion last year just on innovations. The fourth strength of Huawei is highly automated, and manufacturing activities of it is using a lot of robotics and automations to do it. Huawei weaknesses. The first one, it lacks of its own core software ecosystem, Android. Android belongs to Google and Google belongs to US. Now US and China is not a good term, then there's a potential that Google want to withdraw Android from Huawei because Donald Trump is stopping Huawei from using Android services. The second, it has weak positioning in US. Based on the survey done, only 1% of consumers in US is using Huawei. Just 1%. After understanding these strengths and weaknesses, now I would like to present to you the opportunities that lie ahead of Huawei. The first one is 5G and AI. Huawei is the first company in the world to come up with the commercialized 5G protocol, and they managed to have a full spectrum of device which can support 5G. This gives them a very big advantage that currently there's no other competitors. They haven't come up with all these products, and all the nations in this world already want to introduce 5G product which is faster, cheaper, and more higher bandwidth. The other opportunity for Huawei is untapped Indian market. As you know, India is the second largest country in terms of population in the world, behind China. And do you know what is the percentage of people in India owning a mobile device? 26% only. 76% of people for you to grab it. So Huawei, this is your opportunities. We also want to analyze some of the threats that posted to Huawei at the moment. Huawei focus a lot in their mobile device market, which is heavily contested. There are so many brands in the market, and some of the brands like LG, Lenovo, or HTC, where you may not hear about it right now, but actually 10 years ago, these are the big brands. So you can see how competitive is this market. The second threat to Huawei is the regulation pressures in Western countries. Huawei has a big market, dominate the market in Europe, which is the Western countries, due to the regulations that the European Union has come out, where they suspect Huawei is leaking some of the data privacy to Beijing government. So this is the pressure that Huawei is facing in terms of regulations. Of course, the trades. The trade tension between US and China. Because of this trade war, Huawei cannot buy from US vendor, and there is a likelihood that they cannot use their core operating system, which is Android. So we feel that this is a very big threat. And for PESTEL, we have selected Japan. Why we select Japan? First of all, Japan is an attractive market for premium products. They are the third largest economy in the world, although their population is not the third largest. And this is a very challenging market where consumers have high expectations. So if Huawei can penetrate this market, this will give an extra credibility to Huawei when they want to move to other markets. Another reason for us to choose Japan is because Japan is a trendsetter for technology in Asia. Whatever technologies that Japan embrace, it will very easily get cascaded to other markets such as Southeast Asia, where they follow the Japan trend quite closely. We move into the political. Japan is a close ally of US. So this may be a big disadvantage for US because when Japan support US sanction on China companies, this may affect Huawei. And the second thing is that historically, Japan is the nemesis of China. There are many right-wing politicians refuse to acknowledge the Nanking massacre, and this actually create a big anger for Chinese citizens. Now we want to understand the economy of Japan. First, Japan is the economic growth is quite big. Japan is not a growing market anymore because their citizens refuse to produce baby. The growth rate will be naturally slow. Japan has a low interest rate, so this may be good for Huawei if they want to borrow the money to do business or expand their business because it's a cheap capital. Japan has a strong automation industry such as Kians, Omron. All this could be the alternative source of suppliers for automation for Huawei when they want to move away from US vendor. Social-wise, Japan is famous for their patriotism. Because of the historical issue, this may pose some obstacle to Huawei if they want to move into Japan market because Huawei is a China brand name. The good part of Japan culture is that they also share the same Oriental culture as Huawei. So Huawei marketing strategy can maybe leverage on this easier penetrate the consumer in Japan. And Japan is a highly organized. Their citizen is well known for their politeness, and their organizations are very hierarchical. Huawei Japan company structure may want to design such that it's in line with Japanese culture, is more hierarchical and aligned to their culture. As Japanese are very disciplined, this could be a good opportunity for Huawei to recruit their talent. Japan has high adoption of technology when it comes to automations and robotics. Huawei, if they want to launch their market or penetrate this market, they have to select their flagship products carefully so that it's in line, so they can reap the maximum benefits out of the Japanese market. And Japan also embrace high-speed internet, which is perfect for Huawei because Huawei possesses 5G technology, which is fastest in the world at the moment, which Huawei can launch their device and their technologies in this Japanese market. Japan, every other year, it will be hit by either typhoon or earthquake. It's not good because when there is a disaster, the buying power of consumer may be weak. However, when there's a disaster, your device spoiled, then they need to do replacement. So this is more like the 50-50, it's quite a neutral point. And Japan is very clean, legal-wise. Japan is highly civilized country. It has a strong product liability act in Japan. When Huawei want to launch their product, they have to be very cautious about its quality. Japan also has a strong intellectual property regulation because of their involvement in TPP led by US. So at the moment, Huawei has some patent lawsuits in US. So this may create some risk to Huawei when they come to legal side in terms of intellectual property.
On May 15 of 2019, the US White House has issued the executive order on securing the information and communication technology and service supply chain under President Trump. So how should Huawei deal with this situation, and what strategy response of Huawei to this situation? First, Huawei need to sustain and improve the brand image. Huawei need to keep calm to cater on this situation and don't try to confront toward the US regarding this case. For example, during the press conference, Huawei spokesperson need to keep their politeness in speaking and give positive image for the reporter. Besides that, Huawei need to give compensation to their employees for those who have been affected by this case. And furthermore, Huawei also need to improve the confidence level in public toward the brand for this harsh situation, so that the consumer will still prefer Huawei than other products, and most importantly, to retain the public image of Huawei. So next, what should be the most important short-run and long-run strategy goals for Huawei in order to sustain their business? So for short-run, we suggest Huawei to maintain the confidence of all stakeholders. Huawei need to convince its financial and supplier for continuous supply, and Huawei need to convince consumer that its existing products are not affected by the Google service ban, and Huawei also need to give confidence to its employees so that they can continue support and be loyal to the company. Secondly, Huawei need to ensure sufficient cash flow liquidity. Huawei need to ensure it can secure the sufficient cash flow for the operating activities, and Huawei can consider engage with bank and government to get more loans. Next, Huawei need to activate the backup resources. Huawei need to stabilize its supply chain and aim to service independently without supplier from US. And lastly, Huawei need to streamlining the product portfolio, especially the phone model. For example, keep the Mate or P series for high income group and the Honor series for the middle and low income group. And Huawei also can devote its resources to promote the 5G technology. So for the long run, firstly, Huawei can create a strategic alliance. For example, creating strategic alliance with other big giant software company in China like Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu to create software ecosystem instead of just mere software like development to replace Android. And second, in the long run, Huawei cannot afford to develop all technology by itself. Huawei need to adopt acquisition strategy by looking into the acquisition market to buy other companies which can expedite Huawei growth. For example, like what Disney do to acquire other entertainment company. Number two, Huawei can also consider to restructuring the organization to prevent the organization to be too bulky and slow down the decision making. And lastly, Huawei can apply the concept of big, hairy, audacious goals. This is an idea or concept that defined as a powerful way to stimulate the progress of the company. So Huawei can apply this concept to reset a long-run goal around 10 to 20 years goals and then stretch the company to achieve this greatness. For example, like what Nike who apply this concept and successfully beat Adidas.
We could actually use Portal 5 forces here to analyze the competitive landscape of the global telecommunication equipment and as well for consumer electronic industry. Before moving into the bottom 5 forces, let me get you some example of what is telecommunication equipment and consumer electronic industry. Telecommunication equipment are such as like telecom towers, routers, voice over internet protocols, while consumer electronics could be home electronics such as the smart devices, television, and laptops. Bottom 5 forces highlight the company's positioning in its industry through various keys such as threat of new entries, the bargaining power of the suppliers and also buyers, threat of substitute products, and its intensity of rivalries within the industry. So the first point here, threat of entry. In telecommunication equipment industry, commonly we have highlighted with high cost which leads to limitation from various aspects to a new entry, especially in the capability to invest heavily in necessary infrastructure for telecommunication equipment. While consumer electronic industry, the trend of smartphone usage is increasing yearly. Therefore, there is positivity sign to tell us that there is threat of new entry, as new entrants would easily captivate large number of investors for getting more new entrants to consumer electronic industry. However, the costs which act as a barrier would be falling off from the initial benchmark points because of what we call it as copying existing ideas. As a result, new entrants considered to be using less time and cost for the new entry to be effectively compete, and they do not have to be a new innovation in order to enter a market. And the following point let me talk about is bargaining power of the buyers. In the industry of telecommunication equipment here, the bargaining power for buyers are relatively low as the buyer needs and preferences are diversified. Besides, it is unlikely for buyers to simply purchase and utilize a product even with the same features because each individual have different purchasing of or what we call as attitude towards the product, especially for this category of telecommunication equipment whereby we have lesser choice. Likewise, if we are talking about consumer electronic industry here, their bargaining power is for buyer is really high and they do have many choices. And buyer switching cost is low as well. Using a smartphone as the example, majority of the smartphones are equipped with the very basic function in meeting the buyer needs. So the selling price here, if it's unreasonable, then they can just switch. As move on to the following point, threat of substitute. For telecommunication industry, we perceive it as having low threats of substitution, as this switching cost is relatively high. There are limited numbers of telecommunication equipment providers here, apparently due to the high startup investment in entering one of the related industry. It is so less likely for other substitute products to be setting low prices due to the high maintenance cost within each resources required. Whereas in consumer electronics industry, its prospect is facing high threat of substitute, and it is unlike for the industry of telecommunication equipment as they possess high threats of entry, which leads to a large number of competitors. As those newcomers enter the industry, it is convenient for them to offer at a very low price, especially during the introductory phase where buyers will be easily attracted away. Move on to the following one, bargaining power of suppliers. As the suppliers are the important source contributing towards completing a product, there are easily drive up its cost in the quotation. It is all contributed from the ability numbers of suppliers in the market which are offering needed part which is similar as in the similar one industry. For telecommunication equipment industry, there would be classified as a low bargaining power from the suppliers because it is playing a parallel role in aligning with low threats of entry. It is also due to the expensive startup for a beginner to enter the industry. Similarly, for consumer electronics, in which suppliers is having low bargaining power here. Assuredly, when prices offered are irrationally high, a company can easily switch to another supplier. So there will be no restriction for barrier allowing the switch of suppliers. A company would be able to maintain its input costs at a lower range while enhancing its profit. And the last one, industry rivalries. Intensity of rivalries within one telecommunication equipment industry is relatively low for this, as the threat of entry is maintained at a low due to the high capital investment here as required for the entrance to the industry. Whereas consumer electronics are having high intensity of rivalries within the industry as there is high threat of entry in the industry. It could easily begin with the existing component with less innovation, whereby the following steps would be accompanied with more creativity and innovative ideas contributing from in-depth research and development. In addition, there are many identical products in the market, and it becomes competitive upon buyer focusing on the cheapest pricing instead of differentiated features.
First competitive advantage of Huawei will be cost leadership. Instead of using outsourced production to third party, Huawei manufacture most of their components of the product by themselves. Unlike Apple, Apple outsource all their components manufacturing to third party, even the compounding process of iPhone. This approach of Huawei have helped them to save a lot of costs in outsourcing and as well as prevent quality issues. Huawei use many automation systems which have also saved a lot of their human resource costs. Compared with Apple outsource everything to third party where costs them higher compared to Huawei. The second competitive advantage of Huawei will be best cost provider. In basis of competitive strategy, Huawei product selling price is lower, which have attract more customers to purchase. Next will be production emphasis. Huawei provides products with better and appealing features, which is better quality of their product like camera, design, and the cost for their product are actually lower. Next competitive advantage of Huawei will be differentiation. Product design. Huawei provides unique design for the products where people is easy to differentiate than compared with others like Samsung, Oppo, and Apple technology. In smartphone industry, the camera of smartphone in Huawei are the best and are well recognized by the world. The most obvious feature of camera of Huawei will be the magnification lens of Huawei, and the AI processor of Huawei in their smartphones also help smartphone to have a better reliability. Huawei have no longer need any physical buttons for their devices, where they have changed everything to on-screen button. All the buttons will have gone virtual and digital. This has helped Huawei to prevent defect of the hardware. In telecom network, the 5G technology of Huawei is well recognized by the world. Huawei is the world's largest maker of telecoms gear, which has nabbed 50 commercial 5G contracts outside of their own country, which including South Korea, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, Finland, and more. Challenge of Huawei. First challenge of Huawei will be technology. Huawei faced with the challenge in new technology development as compared to their competitor, Apple and Samsung. Because Apple have been inventing and improving their iOS for years, where their iOS has been a mature stage. And for Samsung, they are using Android OS, where Android has been in the industry for years, which might be longer than Apple. And that's for the OS has been in the mature stage, which their function has been complete. And since Huawei is now developing their own new OS moment due to US-China trade war, it's definitely need more time, investment, and also talents for Huawei to complete their invention in Home OS. And several aspects need to be taken care of by Huawei, where their Home OS has to be differentiated with Android and iOS in order to grab the interest of the customer, and also to prevent them to be facing problems like lawsuit illegal due to the copyright and also the similar functionality Android and iOS. Besides, Huawei is facing challenge in economy where they need to sustain their revenue, since Huawei has basically stopped market in US, and this has reduced a lot for Huawei's revenue due to US are actually one of their major revenue sources for Huawei. The first recommendation for Huawei will be cross-industry joint venture. By partnership with leading innovation companies like Tesla, Mercedes, BMW, Huawei able to expand their business into other industry. By joint venture with other companies like Mercedes, while Mercedes are inventing and researching for automated smart vehicles where the car will be driving by themselves, and the core technology in this project will be Internet, part of the feature for IR 4.0. And Internet is the best technology for Huawei, that by making use of Huawei best technology, 5G technology, were able to help Mercedes to have a better connection between their cars and their servers, which will help Mercedes to have a success in this project. The next recommendation for Huawei will be in VUCA. The first aspect for VUCA will be volatile. Huawei able to make use of one technology in IR 4.0, which is Internet of Things, to keep them always up to date with the latest information in order for Huawei to always grab the first hand in responding to the unpredictable situation of the world. For instance, when an issue happens in a particular country, like case in Hong Kong, Huawei should take response on it by reducing their sales forecast, because currently Huawei will be not contribute much in purchasing luxury things like smart devices. Therefore, Huawei able to cut down their budget in investing their marketing advertising in Hong Kong. But in the way around, Huawei able to use this budget to use in other countries like Malaysia is a rising star for Huawei. Next will be uncertainty. Huawei should make use of digitalization in IR 4.0 for the easy access of information. By having all the information like in their past model, their past research, past experiment of Huawei themselves, and the past models, products from competitors, and market needs, market requirements, industry, and the industry. And Huawei able to digitalize all this information into computer, which makes them into soft copy. And Huawei able to make use of analysis tools like Minitab to analyze all the related information to predict the potential launching of new technology by competitor. This will help Huawei to solve the uncertainty where their competitors might launch a new model of product which might affect the current position of Huawei in smartphone industry and also telecom network industry. Next will be complexity. Huawei able to increase their business globalization by establishing offices in each country where the majority of the staff will be local to handle all the issues in that particular industry when Huawei are operating their business in that particular country. Huawei were able to prevent from getting involved in cultural issues, environmental issues, political issues, legal issues, where the office will determine how to deliver their products and services in the proper ways that that particular country able to accept. Next will be ambiguity. Huawei should start investing in new industry in order to sustain their business. In order to test the stability of their new product, Huawei should test their new product and services before the official release of the product. This is to prevent their brand image and credibility being affected, like Samsung. Samsung Note 9 have been serious cases that have affected Samsung brand image, where the explosion appeared. Therefore, Huawei able to test the product in their own country to test the reliability of the product. For example, this tactic has been used by Facebook before Facebook released their Facebook dating feature. Facebook has beta tested their Facebook dating features in Colombia for months before the official release to the whole world. This has helped Facebook to solve the unstable and unpredictable errors that occur during beta testing, and they're able to solve it before they release this feature to the whole world. So in conclusion, although Huawei have faced so many challenges and hardships when running the business globally, but with all the strategy we have suggested above, we believe Huawei can continue to grow stronger and be the world leading technology company and continue to make the world a better place. Thank you very much.